What's going on, everyone? It's your boy PTK Blam back in the building with another episode of the Shop Podcast. How is everybody doing out there this beautiful Saturday evening? We appreciate you guys hanging in this chat. As you guys file in, once again, hit that like button, retweet the actual post that was out earlier on Twitter. You guys will see that. Let everybody know the Shop Podcast is live, man. But as you guys can see, the panel looks a little bit different today, man. So we're gonna do some quick shout out to Fuzz. Gonna miss the show today, so shout out to you, Fuzz. Hope everything works out. Same thing with Stag as well. So we appreciate you guys always hanging out here in the chat, man. Once again, let everybody know as you file in here, retweet, like the channel, subscribe if you have not already, man. But we're gonna go ahead and just start with our guest hill quickly before we just dive into the rest of the panel and the topics. So yeah, Gaz, man, we got Gaz from Game On Daily. I'm personally a big fan. I know a lot of the panel here is a big fan of what you guys got going on over there, man. Appreciate you. First time here on the show, man. Like I said, I've been a fan from afar. I figured I'd throw out, they say a closed mouth don't get fed, right? So I figured I'd reach out, man, and see if I can get you on. And I appreciate you hanging out. It is very early in the morning. If you guys don't know, he is across the pond. So he is over, I believe, UK, correct?
Yeah. We're in the UK, 2 a.m. But you know me, man. I'm always swimming in the source. I'm ready to do this. Let's do it.
So as you guys can see, man, not much of an introduction, but man, all his information's down in the description below. Please go check him out. Got the website down there. I think I got the merch store, Twitter, all of that good stuff down in the description. So please, if you're a fan of the show, go follow, check out what they got going over there at Game On Daily. So let's go ahead and get to my compadres here, man. Shout out to everybody in the chat. Psychonaut, obviously, Show and Sue, man. Appreciate you as you file and hit that like button, man. We got Pong Song, man. I know it's been a bit of a different day for you, Pong. You didn't have no living split screen today, but we rocking out here on the shop, man. How you been this week?
Man, it's just been a crazy, busy week. I've not been in social media. I have not been in my usual amount of podcasts. I've not been in my usual amount of chat rooms. I have not even played that many video games this week. This has been just insane. So it's good to be here tonight, especially with Gaz. Of course, I've had the pleasure of doing a few shows with him already, but man, one of my favorites, him and Asa are absolutely phenomenal. And Game On Daily is, again, criminally underappreciated, and everybody should go check them out because I absolutely love what they do over there. So always a good time. And of course, I get to be here with PTK and Centurion, my brothers, on a Saturday night. Shout out to Stag. Shout out to Fuzzy. Hey, guys, just keep hanging in there, man, and hope everything gets better for both of you. And we'll see you back here real soon. But otherwise, I am happy to be here. It is Saturday night, finally getting to talk some games. Let's do this.
Let's dive in, man. But last but not least, Centurion, how you doing this week, brother? What you been up to? What you been playing? How just things been going in general?
What is up, guys? It is Saturday night. It is time to talk games. I haven't been able to play too much as, I got probably the same issue as Pong Song. I got so much else going on, but I was able to tune in to the State of Play. I have been listening to podcasts lately at work again, so I'm excited, man. It actually, it almost feels like I've been hanging out with my friends all week with Boomstick and all of them, so I'm ready for this.
All right, man. Well, let's go ahead and dive in. Once again, you guys run up the likes. Appreciate you guys' continued support. Let everybody know we're live, man. So let's do the damn thing and dive right into the topics, man. Appreciate the chat. Rain the Third Eye falling in here. I saw Mr. Kima falling in here. Thank you guys so much, man. You guys are awesome and amazing individuals. What's up?
Wait, I did have one brain lapse, just one now. There has been one game I have been playing, but I have been going back and playing Conker's Bad Fur Day.
Oh, okay. Nothing wrong with that, man. OG game.
Dude, I have been laughing my ass off so much.
Yeah, it's a bit vulgar. If you guys
I'm almost gonna question now. Do you think they could get away with making a game like that today? I know everybody wants a Conker's Bad Fur Day too, but let's really think about
they could do it. It would just they could do it, Centurion. They could pull it off, but it would be different. It would not be the same type of humor.
The humor has to be different.
It would be different. But they could do it. They could.
I don't think it'd be as risque or as just downright graphic, because I mean some of the stuff that they had you do in that game was just, you're just like, wow. I question if this game could actually make it onto a platform today other than PC, because almost anything can end up on PC, but it's very interesting to think, could that game actually fly today?
Well, that is we'll definitely see. I mean, a lot of there's a bit of a I'll say market for the game. There's definitely a bit of a push for the game. It has a cult following, so there's people there that want to see it come back. You know, we've heard people at Xbox talk about it. Phil's talked about it. I think he's even wore like T-shirts and things. So it would be interesting. It would definitely have to be a bit different. But let's go ahead and dive into the first topic, man. We're gonna start with our poll of the week, man. And this was probably the biggest poll of the week the shop has ever had, man. So shout out to the almost 2,500 people that voted on the poll, man, this week. Appreciate you guys, man. Thank you guys. It was amazing. And this just goes to show you how much people actually care about Halo, but that's a whole nother topic. But anyway, we'll go ahead and start here. So the poll of the week was, while we wait patiently for the release of Halo Infinite, I want to ask the community, what are you guys diving into first? So we had campaign, 2 options, campaign, multiplayer. It was an overwhelming 82% campaign. They're diving in first. The other 18% multiplayer. Now, I honestly thought it would be a little bit more balanced. But I'm not actually surprised because I always play Halo campaigns first. Every single Halo that I've ever played, which is all of them, I've always played the campaign first before I dove into the multiplayer because I'm that invested in Chief and what the story provides for me from like an emotional connection standpoint. I need to know what's happening with Chief and Cortana before I can go lose my mind in multiplayer. But let's go ahead and start with our guests here. Shout out to everybody, Rain G4, Last Emperor, HTK360. What up, Blue? Down in the chat. I see you. Let's go and start with you guys. Where you at, man? You diving right into campaign first, multiplayer first?
Nah, I gotta go campaign, man. Campaign is the key first, because one, everyone's gonna ruin it for you because those 24 hours after the game comes out is super critical. Because I remember with Halo 3, it wasn't even 24 hours that come out, and so I didn't sleep. Midnight launch, got the game, was playing it, but fell asleep halfway through. Woke up maybe 6 hours later, and my friend ruined it for me because he said, "Oh man," I was just like, "Bro, are you serious? I couldn't have done anything other than stay awake the whole night and not have it ruined." And a lot of people are going to be in the same boat. Depends on what 343 are doing, but remember, this is a 10-year game. But it's an end of a trilogy. So are they going to leave it like a cliffhanger because it's like a 10-year games as a service thing? Or are they going to wrap up the trilogy? If they do that in terms of a narrative standpoint, I think everyone should actually complete the campaign because there's a big risk of spoilers there. What happens with Cortana? If someone could spoil it for you in one word, Cortana dies or something, or when Chief dies, or he won't die, but you know what I mean. So I think even if you're one of those guys who even cares a little bit about this campaign and plays mostly 90% about multiplayer, if you care 10% about the campaign, you might want to play the campaign for this one first. Because this is a special Halo. This is them wrapping up the trilogy. So that's my point of view of that. You don't want to get that ruined.
Okay. So can you guys hear my audio?
Yep, we can hear you.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay, I just want to make sure because things are tracking a little bit behind on the screen. But anyway, so no, I do agree with you. Let me know if I'm lagging out or anything like that, guys, if you guys are having a hard time hearing me.
Nope, we're good.
Oh, okay, cool. I just want to make sure. All right, good.
We're good.
Okay, so good. So, all right, so no, great point, guys. I do 100%. Like I said, I'm a campaign first guy, especially with Halo. It's that important to me that I know what's going on with Chief. That little bit of information we got definitely gave me wet my whistle just enough to get me back into caring enough about what's going on. Now, not necessarily saying I didn't care about Halo 5 story, but it is a bit of a it was a bit of a discourse from Halo 4 or Halo 3, what I'm used to. So I love to get back, and I want to get back to the story, and I'm super excited to see what we got going forward. But let's go ahead and throw this over to you, Pong. Get your opinion on which one were you diving in first?
Oh man, I'm going to be diving into the campaign. Of course, I'm going to go kick some Covenant ass before I go get my own ass kicked online. So I gotta make myself feel better. Since I'm a casual Halo fan, not a hardcore Halo fan. I still enjoy the multiplayer, but man, you know what? I'm not even going to try to claim that I'm any good. So we're going to go online, or we're going to go on the campaign, and I'm going to figure out what's going on with the story. And I'm going to deep dive that thing first. That's definitely where I'm headed. So this was an easy poll of the week, PTK. Sometimes you've got some really hard ones. This one was easy. So
I think PTK is.
yeah, I think we might have lost him this time. PTK, we can't hear you.
Yeah, I'm here.
Can
you hear me?
Oh, okay.
Oh,
now we can hear you.
now.
Yeah.
Now we can.
All right. No, so I'm sorry about that, guys. I do apologize. So I heard everything you said. Actually, I'm sorry. I was just talking to my wife. Good. I heard everything you said. So no, but you didn't have much to say. Obviously, Halo, a big deal. So let's go ahead and throw this over to you, Centurion. Get your quick opinion on which one are you diving into first. Like I said, I'm a campaign first guy. I can't really dive into the multiplayer first. It doesn't feel right for Halo. Like I just can't bring myself. I can do it for Call of Duty. Because at a certain point, I just completely abandoned Call of Duty's campaign. So I didn't care much about exactly what was going on. So not necessarily with Halo. I got to know what's going on with Chief, especially this time around, because that new AI and that little snippet that we got just made me feel like, I want to know what's going on. So let's go ahead and throw this over to you, Centurion. What's your opinion, man? Which one are you playing first?
All right. We're going to go campaign because you're right. It doesn't do it justice. What we saw in that trailer, that little bit of tidbit that we got of Cortana possibly being replaced and her AI equivalent, little equal, is talking to Chief, and I want to know more about that. Excuse me. The main thing, though, there is a lot of questions that people have on this. Like, let's ask a question. What was one of the high points anybody was looking forward to in any Call of Duty campaign? Top of your head. You'd have to sit there, but the stories don't really connect with each other. They're more like Michael Bay films. You don't really sit there and you're like, oh my God. But with this, we got to know what's going on with Cortana. What's going on with Chief? Is Locke still around? Is Atriox coming back? What the hell's going on over here? What about that guy? I mean, there is a lot of questions that we are all looking for answers for. And hell yeah, I'm going to be jumping into that campaign first.
Absolutely. And I'm right there with you. It doesn't feel right to do Halo any other way. I don't think it's possible. If you're jumping into Halo multiplayer first, you got to be either like in the esports or something along those lines. I don't know, Gas. I can't do it. I could not buy a copy of Halo and say, you know what? Let's get this multiplayer first. Let's boot up this multiplayer.
Yeah, you're right. I was thinking who would actually do that, and the only answer I can come up with is one of those like esports super PvP centric guys. The only thing I would say though is Halo. This is slightly different here. Halo Infinite's multiplayer is free to play, so you will actually get more people playing the multiplayer first, particularly those on PC, particularly that crowd who've never really gelled with Halo, or they haven't actually gone out to play those games, but because it's free. The multiplayer is free. There's going to be a lot of hype. Expect a lot of PC players jumping in, and that's where people will, as a symptom of it being free to play, they will then not sample the campaign first. Which is for the true Halo fans out there, that's sacrilege. You can't. It's like Centurion said. It's not like Call of Duty where every story is standalone. Halo has a legacy. Everyone is judging it through the reason why Halo is quite funny. That's quite telling actually as well though. If you tear it down, Halo, why it has such a uphill task in terms of reviewing well as well is because it's judged on three core facets as well, and they're huge. Visuals, because people will say he has a flagship title, story, and multiplayer. There are a lot of titles out there that don't need to get all three things right. Or even have all three things. Sometimes just single player only games, right? But everything has to smash with Halo. Campaign, the gameplay, the multiplayer. So when we were asking this question, are you going to hit that campaign first? And it's resounding, nah, man, we can't. Yeah, it's like the resounding, we will just have to touch the campaign first, not the multiplayer. It speaks to the quality of the Halo's narrative and the power of its narrative. So you're right, PTK man. There's no way, if you're a true Halo fan, if you understand the legacy of Halo, that you would jump into the multiplayer first, because the campaign is special, man. But well, Halo 5 dropped the ball completely, threw that out of the window. But there is Halo Infinite is going to bring it back. I promise you. I know it's going to bring it back. Because they've said this before, and we've lost him. This is our show now, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Go Live. We have taken over PTK Blam's show, and the host is gone, but you don't need him higher.
That's
right?
okay. That's all right. You got a couple hosts right here. We're all good to go. Let's go, Gaz. We'll just take over. I'll be your Asa. Let's go.
Yes, let's do it. Let's what are we talking about now?
We're talking about this. You know what's funny though, Gaz, is what you were talking about as far as the multiplayer, and with it be free to play, and with all of the PC people that are going to be jumping in, not to mention just the console kids and the console people jumping in as well, right? On day one, those servers better be ready, right?
Oh,
they better not have those issues that we see in other games. That's going to take it down a notch.
PTK Blam's like server issues, man. PTK Blam won't be playing multiplayer anyway.
Case in point example was the trouble that we had with Gears 5 when it first came out for the first couple days.
Right, exactly. Yeah. Exactly. With this type of high profile game, you definitely cannot have those server issues. It has to be on point. They better have all of Azure on red alert, like ready, just to rock and roll.
Joining us back is our
sorry about that, guys. Had some technical
We'd like to
difficulties.
introduce PTK Blam.
I know,
how
right?
you doing, PTK?
So, I'm good, man.
PTK Blam is back. He is like the Steven Tyler of YouTube. He is just out of control sometimes when he is on stage.
Jesus Christ. No. So technical difficulties. So I had to get something straight. But where do we leave off on? I'm so sorry. Oh,
don't worry. We just continued the conversation on the Halo points.
The Halo
we were just talking about. Yeah, with Gaz.
Okay,
so
awesome.
Whole week. So we're good.
Okay, cool. Awesome. So we got that squared away. Sorry, Chad. I do apologize. Appreciate you guys for rocking out.
You made it sound like I just had to get something straight. It made it sound like I had to log off for 1 second and go collect $5 from somebody.
No. This proves. See, look, no, it's all. See, guys, what I'm doing is they don't understand. This is a test, essentially. See, now I know that if something happens, they can carry the show. That's exactly. This was all planned. Good job, Pong. Good job, Centurion.
That's pretty crazy that you could. I didn't even know we could do that. I think if Acer's PC shuts down, the show shuts down, but yours carried on. Yeah, so we renamed the show while you were away. Now,
oh Lord have mercy! Did you guys write me out of the contract?
It's over, man.
Oh Lord have mercy! I'm done. Anyway, but no, we're good to go. So we got the poll out of the week out of the way. Everybody, once again, that just goes to show you how important Halo is and how big of an impact it actually made. There's I don't know if you would agree with this, guys, but I'm of the mind that I almost don't think Xbox knows how much of an impact or how big of a turnaround like they're actually going to have, like how much people are actually excited about Infinite. I don't know if you get the same vibe. I think they understand, but I think there may be a bigger audience for Halo than they anticipated come launch.
I think they do know, because the reason why I say that is because of the recent interview with Phil Spencer. And IGN were trying to goad it out of him to say that this is make or break for 343.
True.
And Brian McCaffrey was making Phil Spencer say this about 343. And you know what Phil Spencer's response was? Look, all we are focused on, I don't think it's make or break. And we are super, super focused on just getting Halo Infinite right. So I think they appreciate that. They understand the scope of a free, because it's not an easy decision to make to say let's make the multiplayer free, man. That's a big move, man. People are like, we're spoiled by Game Pass, but imagine Game Pass wasn't even in the picture. If someone told you Halo's multiplayer isn't the multiplayer in Halo defined what console gaming and online play was. People don't remember, but Halo showed single-handedly, Halo was the game to show off the fact that consoles can do online multiplayer well. That Halo 2 did that. Before that, and old dinosaurs like us kept reading about how consoles can never do multiplayer, like Counter-Strike was there and was making it mad in the PC scene. So this isn't a small title giving its multiplayer for free. This is something big. And Microsoft definitely appreciate how big it's going in, because this move is so ballsy, man. This thing is insane. They're going again. They're literally aiming for this is the most they can do with Halo.
Yeah.
Make the multiplayer free. Give it away on Game Pass. Have a massive scope 10-year game for Halo. The only problem was maybe obviously the visual side. We're disappointed, but they're going on it. The fact that they delayed a title like this on the console launch. They know it, man. And the pressure is on. And I can see it. I'm seeing the quality of their work. I'm seeing even when we couldn't see it last year, I could still see the quality where they're focusing on. Their focus is right. Which is why it's not just blind hype. I think Halo Infinite could be one of the best Halos we've got in years, if not the best one. They're really going for it. This sounds.
I agree. I agree. 100%. And I know if Fuzz was here, Stag was here, they would agree with you 100% as well. That game, I think, like I said, from the visual standpoint, now I was one of the few, I guess, that didn't have a large issue with the original visuals they revealed. Mm-hmm. I get it. I understood the feedback. And obviously, they've been able to improve on the visuals greatly, as you could see from what we got this year. So with that, I mean, kind of with that to the side, the story, the substance, the music, everything surrounding Halo, the way I want to feel when I hear Halo is that's what they gave me back.
Yeah.
You know, and I think a lot of people felt that way. I got chills, man. Listen, I can't say, I'm not going to say I did not shed a tear during the time Chief was scaling through that, that little cinematic, before he got to the new AI. Like, it was just, it took me to a point to where, back to my childhood, whatever you want to call it, nostalgia. But yeah, it took me to where I needed to be. But let's go ahead and keep this thing moving, man. Shout out to chat. You guys are amazing. I am back. Sorry about the issues once again, chat. Shout out to Zinc, everybody in the chat. Retweet once again. Shout out to the Shonsu as well, mod of the year. Appreciate the super sticker, brother. Thank you so much for that, man. But let's keep things moving. So, guys, we're going head first in the sauce. Okay, the poll of the week is just a warm up. We're doing the first lap. We're diving head first into the sauce. We're talking a little bit about this Nintendo Switch OLED. So you're shaking your head, guys. I understand. Listen. The looks like the frustration is bubbling to the surface. So we're gonna go ahead and let you go here. But no, ultimately, just to get this out of the way, if you didn't know. There was speculation for a little while now, and it was obviously it was a very credible source. We thought, I think it was it like business? I can't remember. Can't remember exactly. Business. The actual people. Insider? Yeah, Business Insider that actually gave us the information or leaked the information about a potential hardware upgrade, and the Switch Pro being a better overall piece of hardware than the original Switch. And that's kind of what we went off of. Now, yes, we there is a chance that none of that's true. Obviously, as of right now, we understood none of that's true. So essentially, all we're getting, or all you Nintendo fans are getting, is a better screen and a LAN port and a better kickstand. So where are we at on this, guys? I try and give Nintendo a little bit of wiggle room. But they've lost us, guys. They're not doing this for us. They're not thinking about us.
Man, Nintendo, they just take the mick. I don't know if you can swear on the show, but
it's all good.
Okay, well, they take the piss because, like, they didn't need to do much with the Pro. Like, we were happy with the Switch. We just wanted better specs, and all they did was the bare minimum. And right now, they did the bare minimum, and yet they're beating they're saying it with their chest. We did the bare minimum. It feels like that. And it's because the advert is so, it's like, what have you got? You've got OLED screen, you've got a LAN port at the back, and you've got a better kickstand. I mean, these are things that should have been there in the first place. And now there's just like 7 years on, or whatever, how many years on I mean, it's laughable to say. That these are the things we got. This doesn't warrant a new console being released. This is not what people want. There is not a popular theory, but there are there is speculation on the reason why, and a lot of and again, this is speculation. Mostly because we're trying to reconcile why the hell you would do something so stupid, because it's just basic as hell. And some people are saying, "Oh no, you're blaming." You should blame the media outlets for reporting on this and getting your hopes up.
Yeah, I've heard that as well.
Yeah, don't blame Nintendo. But even forget the news reports out of the way. How many years when the Switch came out? Amazing.
It's 4.5 years at this point. 4.5.
You're getting, look, the thing is ancient. The tech is ancient. Yes, we get it. Nintendo's games are great. Nintendo very, their ingenuity knows no bounds, so they will use the best case for that power. But even then, the cracks were showing as soon as Switch launched. But the tech needs to scale. Forget all the media kind of leaks. We're not spoiled by that. Gamers want more. The tech is old. So like when people say, "Oh no, you're just falling for the trap," this is taking the mick, man. I mean, OLED screen, a kickstand, and a LAN port, and you're defending that. Disappointing. But sorry, I digress. The big reason why a lot of people, Nintendo may have done this is because of the silicon shortage, and a lot of people are saying this was a last-ditch attempt at trying to salvage some of the works that went behind the scenes. Now, I don't know how that development works. Are you telling me that they can mobilize and quickly make this last-ditch attempt and get this OLED out that they didn't plan? I don't know if it works that way. Like, because presumably this stuff takes a long time to plan. So I don't get it. But there may be smoke there. I have no idea. I profess not to understand it. But on the face of it, as far as we gamers are getting it, this is stupid. I just don't get hyped for it. And the most hardcore Nintendo guys that I know, I'm fans with, the guy who plays Jason Schreier at Skid Safe. He's a huge Nintendo guy. That guy, this is a joke, and he's a big Nintendo guy when he's saying that. I'm like, okay, this is a flop.
So the thing about this is now, so what I'm gonna try and play devil's advocate, guys. Okay, I'm gonna attempt to do this here. All right, so we this is not foreign to Nintendo. They have a thing called a DS that they do this with every year. You don't always get a hardware jump with the DS. Sometimes it's a screen, sometimes it's a touchpad, sometimes it's better control, sometimes it's a headphone jack, a stylus. It's not always better hardware. Every other DS is maybe an actual, better, piece of hardware, like a jump and or better. So, I mean, this is not something that's foreign if we really think about it. So should we really be surprised? Now, okay, that's one. Then I'll let you go here. The second thing about this, they're still selling the hell out of the Switches left and right. They're not slowing. The sales of the Switch are not slowing down. So the actual, like the actual pressure to put out a new console is not there, or actual, true upgrade is not necessarily there. So I don't know how you feel about me kind of countering that idea.
No, that's a good counter because and it's a very good counter because we see things through the lens of us as core gamers. So my initial rant was coming from the lens of a core gamer. We want better tech. We don't want 60 frames. We want 60 frames. You want the next Zelda to run smoothly on better res. But like your counter is right. The consoles are still selling. Forget from our lens, it's lackluster. It's a flop. From Nintendo's lens and the wider lens of the world, the actual market, they don't care because Nintendo Switch is already selling out like mad. OLED will sell.
Yeah.
The fact that it will sell, they want to sell out. My argument is done in that regard. If you take it from that lens, you see from the mass market, Nintendo aren't doing anything wrong. But you know what? Do you know why Nintendo can do this? Because Nintendo have no competition. They run in their own lane, so they can take the mic. But it goes back to the existential question: what Nintendo's value? Nintendo is just in its own lane because it does what no one else can. So we can get mad all we want, but the mass market won't care. It will sell. And
I mean,
so that's a good point.
I agree, guys, but I feel like we always do that. That's something that Nintendo can always lean on. Is that, well, we're different. Well, you still make video games, Nintendo. So by default, I understand that they do everything to separate themselves, guys, from Xbox and Sony. They do everything. We're not in competition. we do things differently, and they and in actuality they do things. They even think different than Xbox and Sony as well. How they go about this video game thing. So I guess I'll throw them a bone in that regard. I'm not gonna push it too hard, but ultimately it's still very underwhelming in my opinion. Like I still can't. You still don't. To me, there's still no justification. You know what I'm saying? Even if I'm a Nintendo fan. Like,
yeah,
I mean,
for the core gamer, there isn't one. Then that's the problem. For the Nintendo Switch guy who bought the console will want something more, just getting the bare minimum. Obviously,
there are games that still run sub HD.
Yeah, and it was antiquated the moment it was released, and there was no. So for it to come out,
it runs a Tegra chip. It has a Tegra chip in it. Like, come on.
Not.
So
even indies now are getting really like. Have you noticed the suite of indie titles that are coming out? Before, indie titles were really like the most impressive thing was Braid, and Braid artistically looked good. Technically, is hardly demanding, apart from obviously the tech in terms of rewinding time is really clever. But now look at the games that we call indie are ridiculous because they are pushing the limits now. They look really good. And this is why the Switch is going to be left behind because it's going to struggle even with some indie titles. So yeah, thing needs to change, man. Core gamers the tricky bit though is PTK, just to again play devil's advocate on your devil's advocate. You're saying that it was selling out, right? The console's still selling. There's still demand going out. How do you tackle the point of the upgrades? Is it going to be a scalable upgrade? Or can Nintendo say end of this generation, beginning of next?
So yeah, that's a great point because Nintendo's they don't take much along when they do something different, like from the Wii to the Wii U to the Switch, none of that carried over. So that's a great point. I don't know. I mean, is this obviously the inside? I don't worry so much about the OLED because it's the same exact machine, just a better screen. So in this situation, no, that wouldn't be a concern of mine to answer your question, Gaz. But maybe the next version of the Switch, a true actual like hardware upgrade, then we may have to start asking a question about, well, are those older Switch games coming as well, or are we gonna resell them, remake them, and resell them for $70?
Yep, that's what they'll do. Probably $80. I mean, Nintendo.
Yeah. So all right, well, let's go ahead and throw this over to you, Pong. Where you at on this, Pong? I mean, Nintendo, you already said they left you behind a long time ago.
Yeah.
So starting from that point, I mean, just the philosophy, the idea of what they're doing, to go from that standpoint, because I know you're not even in the ecosystem.
No. Again, I respect the hustle. I always will with Nintendo, and I also respect what they've done for the industry. As being one of the main pillars, even if I left them behind after Super Nintendo, right? Some of my kids have had some of the handhelds, so I've definitely played around on the Wii, of course, because everybody had a Wii. I didn't have one in my house, but certainly all my friends had Wiis. So again, from that standpoint, I respect what they do, and I understand from a business standpoint as to why they continue to make these decisions, because every time they do this, they've done it with all their handhelds. And let's be real, the Switch is a handheld. Okay. It's not a console. Okay. No, I mean, it docks, right? It docks. It can play on your TV, but legitimately they made it as a handheld and they wanted to appeal to that handheld market. That's the selling point. Correct. That's why there's a Switch Lite, right? With no dock, and it's sold like mad, right? So again, from all that standpoint, I get it. They've done this with all of their handhelds, especially. We've had same type of evolution process. Now, here's what I'm going to say is why I'm disappointed in Nintendo when they do stuff like this, because I want them to try to appeal to me. They can run however they want to run. They can continue to, swim in their own pond the way they have been forever, separate from everybody else in this industry. That's cool. That's fine if that's what they want to do. But I wish they would try to appeal to the core gamers again. I wish they would try to say, hey, you know what? We'd really like you guys to come on over. So you know what? We're not gonna compete in 2021 with Sony and Xbox, but what we are gonna do is we're gonna at least put out a machine of a PS4 or Xbox One quality, right? We're at least going to jump into 2016, right? We're going to at least come up that far and give you guys something to look forward to, because, and why I say that is because I respect what Nintendo sees in the industry. I respect that they have a different eye as far as when it comes to content, right? That's why what's made them so unique is their exclusives are very different from everything else on the market. We see a little bit of that with some of the Sony exclusives. As we know, the third person over the shoulder story driven narrative game has become basically their calling card, right? Well, Nintendo's got a whole different eye for the industry. They've got a different set of IPs that are unique compared to what we see elsewhere. So I'd love for them to have a system that would come out and it give us, hey, here's at least 4K, and here we're going to at least give you a rock solid 30, right? Because again, some of their games don't even rock at 30, right? Some of those games, like you said, they're sub HD. Some of them are sub SD. Technically speaking, it's crazy, right? That should not be happening in this day and age. So for me, I just wish that they wanted to try to appeal to the core gamers again, like they used to. Again, I don't expect them to come out and compete with Sony and Xbox. I don't expect that, because I understand their business philosophy is to make a profit on every single thing that comes out of them, right? Every single, whether it's content, whether it's hardware, no matter whether it's cardboard, if it's going to come out of Nintendo, it's going to make money, right? Right?
Yeah,
it's going to make money for them. So I understand that that's their point of, that's their core, right? They're printing money over there. So they don't want to try to compete with everybody else, because as we know, Sony and Microsoft are losing money on the hardware, right? And it's all about the software and that's where it's at. So they don't want to do that. Fine, so be it. That's why I'm saying at least come up to at least somewhere in the 2010s, right? Let's get you there. Let's upgrade your infrastructure. Let's
remember, this is the same company that just the servers 18 years. They just upgraded.
I know they had Windows 98 software in there.
Was it Splatoon? I think it was in Splatoon or something.
Right.
It was ridiculous. Windows 98.
Yeah, they had some remnants of Windows 98 stuff in there. It's ridiculous. So for me, I just wish that Nintendo wanted to at least attempt to get me as a customer, because I'd love to jump back in that ecosystem. Their main IPs don't appeal to me. I've always been honest about that. I'm not a big Mario guy. I'm not a big Zelda guy. There are other games I prefer, but they do have an extensive library of other IPs. I'd love to jump back into a Metroid, right? I'd love to be able to do that. There are some RPGs that they have, like, Fire Emblem and stuff like that I'd love to be able to jump back into again. There's just not enough for me to justify a purchase of a Switch. But if they had a console that actually did 4K, that actually ran their content, at least at a stable level, and at least attempted to appeal to me, I would not have a problem jumping back into their ecosystem, and they would sell. Even if they did, let's say, last gen tech, or even who knows, PS3 360 tech, they would still be making a profit, because they could pump those things out and still charge $400 and people would buy them up. They would snatch them all up. So it would make sense for them to do that. That's why I get frustrated with these moves.
And that's my thing. There's no incentive not to. There's no reason not to. So it's almost like, well, we're going to, like, there's just no reason not to. Like, there's nothing negative that's going to happen. They're still going to sell,
correct,
a million to 2 million of those things a month. Like, even I understand as far as they're once again, they're a very profitable company. They have zero debt, by the way. They're a zero debt company. So the bottom dollar is obviously the last thing here, but there's no, I don't see a consequence in giving people even a marginal boost from the hardware. Like, why not have Zelda run at the best possible,
exactly,
in the best spot? Like, why not? Like, how is that a bad thing? Like,
and you invite third parties back to actually making titles for you, or at least porting over titles, instead of shoehorning in The Witcher or shoehorning in Doom and having it so that it has to be streamed to your non up to date internet to actually even get it to like semi-run on your console. Why not at least bring it up a little bit to spec so that at least you invite that back in, and then you start inviting in some of the core gamers who, again, don't hate Nintendo in any way, shape, or form like me. We don't hate Nintendo. We grew up with a Nintendo in our house at one point or another, but we just simply outgrew it just because they went their own way. Just try once, Nintendo. Again, the Wii U, yeah, I understand that was a failure, but that was a lot of your fault, right? You've learned your lessons. It was not a bad system. It could have succeeded. A lot of it was on you guys. But take those lessons and learn from them and bring it forward and try and just give it another go again. Give us another console. Just give us another straight console. I know Mav's in the chat, and he's huge on this, right? I've said I would just take an upgraded Switch because I actually like the handheld kind of aspect to it. But his point is just give us a console and try one more time at it, Nintendo, see what happens. But do it. Don't sit there and talk about it. And then again, we understand that the fan base of Nintendo does not ask for anything. They just take what is given and applaud and throw more money at Nintendo. And that's a hard addiction to get away from if you're Nintendo, right? You can put shit in a bag and sell it, and people will go and buy it, right? And they're going to praise you for it. And so you just continue to do that. And it's hard to get away from that because it's a no risk proposition for you. But as a company that's in this gaming industry, and this gaming industry has been built upon people taking risks, and the fear of failure has been huge, but people still gone out there and climbed that mountain. I want to see Nintendo get back to that because they used to be one of the pioneers of this industry, and I want to get them back. That's all I'm asking for.
All right. Well, let's go ahead and throw this over to you, Centurion. Get your opinion, man. I mean, I don't know if you even care about this at all, but let's go ahead and dive in, man. Where you at on this OLED upgrade? And was it expected? I think you might have even mentioned that you didn't think it was going to be a full upgrade before, Centurion.
Well, before we get into that, I'm now having to have sandbags dropped at my house for him having to say Nintendo puts shit in a bag and sells it. So I'm worried about probably having somebody cap shots at me over that one, man. It's gonna be collateral damage.
Come on, they sold cardboard. I'm not far off, okay? They sold cardboard with a Nintendo name on it, okay?
The minute they asked you to strap your Switch to your face to simulate like VR, I was like, all right, that's it. I'm done. No, I have a Switch. Yes, it is definitely. The best term I've ever heard for the Switch was a hybrid console, which Pong hit the nail on the head. It's marketed mainly as a handheld. I've taken the Switch with me places just to have some games to play when I know I wasn't going to have access to any of my other consoles. I'm not going to get, there's no way I would be able to convince my wife to like, hey, let's upgrade the Switch for an OLED screen. And then I would have to then take her over to the computer, turn on YouTube. We would have to go over what's the difference between LED and OLED. And probably at the end of the whole conversation, she'd just probably tell me I'm crazy and walk away. I'm pretty sure some people will get excited over this. I feel like the novelty of OLED is maybe starting to wear off because they are really great televisions, but I've also noticed they're starting to put like OLED in a lot of the products at my work. Anything that would use an LCD screen, all of a sudden they're appearing with like an OLED screen. I have no idea. So I just, this isn't definitely enough to get me to want to upgrade my Switch. I have the Switch because I wanted to check out the games like Zelda and stuff that I grew up with. Every once in a while, I'll re-experience my youth and have a little bit of nostalgia. But I mean, those days are very few and far between to justify spending that on a new Switch. And God, don't even get me started. I like buying games on sale. So Switch games rarely go on sale. So me picking up a Switch game is a very rare thing.
Okay. Well, no, listen, at the end of the day, I think we all just want Nintendo to be, I guess just be a little bit daring, with what they're doing. I mean, they're making, a ton of money they're in a healthy space. There's almost no reason not to.
Not to like put a stab on Nintendo, but I'm just going to be blunt, at least the way I feel about it. Let's look at using Transformers, G.I. Joe, and other franchises that came from back in that era. The people who support those franchises are not new youth. New youth is hooked up on Fortnite and other games. I don't really see them really tackling Zelda. That's where I just feel like sometimes I feel like Nintendo needs to acknowledge the fact that some of the people that are carrying on these franchises are not exactly kids anymore. And they still are the ones that are like really hyping these franchises because they're not really appealing to the Fortnite players and the Call of Duty players and the stuff that basically gets you tons and tons of money from software sales.
That's a great point. And I want to, and before we move on to the next topic, I want to throw this back to Gaz real quick. Could Nintendo have an identity crisis?
I don't think so. I don't think Nintendo can have an identity.
So hear me out, Gaz. So from the standpoint of what he just said, as far as not understanding that, because I mean, a lot of times if I go to YouTube and I'm cruising through YouTube, or I even type in, I don't know, Nintendo review or something along those lines, it's going to be someone in a particular age group doing a video. I don't see a lot of younger children doing Nintendo reviews. But I don't know. Once again, I mean, I do understand that's still a huge part of their player base, even though those aren't the kids on YouTube doing the reviews.
I also, at least to defend it, I think that's also on the fact that Nintendo pretty much locked down a lot of, they don't like people talking about their product, at least the ones that they don't want talking about it. And a lot of the people that Nintendo approved back in the day have been with Nintendo for so long that, yeah, they are an older generation. I don't think Nintendo has brought in new people into the fold when it comes to at least the people that Nintendo works with in the community.
Go ahead, guys.
I mean, Nintendo wouldn't be the force it is now if it didn't gel with that younger market. I think that forms a substantial part of it. Yeah, they're missing out on that Fortnite. No, not even that really. Fortnite is on their handhelds, although no serious player will actually play it on the Switch. But Nintendo wouldn't be the force. Nintendo's is a cultural icon that targets all ages. If you're talking about an identity crisis, then you may be alluding to one that might be created in the future where you're seeing this seismic shift. Then I don't know. That's a good question. Then maybe if they're starting to get out of touch, but the numbers don't say that, man. The numbers are just something else. The numbers suggest that Nintendo is the opposite's happening.
Yeah,
Nintendo's leading the way. It's charging the way. In Japan, it's outselling next gen consoles. Granted that there's a silicon shortage, but look, it's consistent. It hasn't stopped. It hasn't stopped. It's a force, and Nintendo dictates who gets interested and who isn't, and everyone's on that train from the OLED.
All right,
that will sell as well. So
I look at it from the perspective of, when was the last time we saw that next evolution in Mario?
Thing is, look, the last Mario game, which is one of the highest rated games of all time, it redefined, like when you played that game, it made all other platforms pale in comparison.
Which Mario are we talking about? There's so many.
That's a very good point.
Galaxy?
I've got these here. This is such a mug. None of these. Not Super Mario Galaxy. What was the last one? Super Mario Odyssey. Their names are so stupid. I can
Odyssey.
Never...
Okay, that one. Okay, that one I will definitely say I completely spaced that one.
Yeah, that was a Switch game, right? So
Odyssey was an actual Switch game. That's where I didn't like the fact that, because I actually have a Wii U back here behind me right now, and there's excuse the expression, there's a lot of regurgitated Wii U games on the Switch, because the Wii U was a total flop. A lot of people did not experience these titles, Like, I mean, me and my wife make jokes about it all the time that literally were being advertised games that were on the Wii U.
Yeah, that's insane. That's insane. But we'll keep it moving here. We don't want to dwell on Nintendo too much. But once again, guys, great topic. Once again, chat, we appreciate you guys rocking out with us. Rocker, Corey, Psychonauts, see you in here. Zinc hanging out with us. Shonsu still here. Let's go ahead and move on. So we're going to be talking a little bit of Assassin's Creed. So they're taking Assassin's Creed in a different direction going forward. Now, this does not necessarily mean they're getting away from what they're doing. There is some positive to this, obviously. Essentially, what the biggest positive, and I think the biggest thing that people are missing, Gaz, is that Assassin's Creed now is going to be done by one large team, not a bunch of smaller teams.
Yeah, so it's being done by the two big teams. It's the Montreal team and I forget the other one.
Yeah, but they're going to go ahead.
Yeah, they're working together to create something. The details are thin on the ground, but it speaks to the model that people always like to deride in the console wars. This like as a service game, but this is where the money's at. I think. I'm not a huge Assassin's Creed guy, by the way.
That's fair.
My friend works on the games. I saw Ragnarok, I think 2 years before anyone else did. And I wasn't hyped about it. I was like, okay, this is cool to see the game everyone's so hyped about. But I'm excited because the reason why I don't like Assassin's Creed games is because there's a bit too much. It's like, and I said this earlier on my show, a couple of hours ago, where it's just an open map and it's a bunch of icons and it's just a grind. Whereas this seems like this suggests that there's an attempt here to change things, to consolidate that formula and make it more. I think Ubisoft are aware of that. Someone reeled out a percentage of how many people actually complete Assassin's Creed, the latest one. I don't think it was that high at all. This is remarkably low, and those kind of metrics and engagement is so important. It's almost everything. That's why your monthly active users and engagement, where you bring it down to a micro level per game and you see your engagement drops off so sharply, you would be worried. And Ubisoft will know that their series fatigue is a problem. It's been normally cited. The formula fatigue as well. They've been rinsing that formula dry, man, and this might be, I'm hoping it is because the scope of this suggests something serious between the biggest studios working in collaboration for this live as a service game to really shake things up. I'm hoping to then deliver it in a way that it'll be more engaging beyond the core Assassin's Creed fan base.
And once again, I'm actually more positive about this than a lot of people would think. Because I play a lot of Division 2. You know, I'm a big Division fan, Division 1, Division 2 fan. Shout out to Fuzz, it's my road dog. So I'm and they're doing this with Heartland for Division. Very similar idea as far as making that, like, we're gonna just blend everything together into one large world and kind of let you guys play around in it. So I'm 100% all for that. So I know a lot of people were like, well, this is another change. But remember, Gaz, I'm pretty sure you seem very, very knowledgeable. So this happened right before last generation. Right before last generation with Assassin's Creed.
What happened before last generation?
There was a period of time where everything felt cookie cutter. During that, as Assassin's Creed 3, you had Black Flag, you had I can't remember which one it was, the one where you had the Native American. He was the lead. You had Syndicate, Syndicate was actually a really good Assassin's Creed.
You had Assassin's Creed Unity, Syndicate. Oh my God, Assassin's Creed Unity, 3, like you said. There was oh my God, what's the other one? Rogue, Assassin's Creed Rogue. There was a lot of them. I know that time you're talking about. It was like
people completely lost interest.
Dude, there was an Assassin's Creed exclusive to the 360. There was an Assassin's Creed exclusive to the Xbox One. I mean, oh my God.
Yeah, it was all over the place, and people got tired of the formula, and that's when we got the Origins. Then once again, they repeated that formula to an even greater degree with Odyssey, and then obviously again with Valhalla. So we may be at the end of that run and they're doing something different. So I welcome the change, guys. I'm with you on that one.
Yeah, I think it'll be good. I mean,
Yeah.
like, and this is from a disinterested guy. Some people, when the rumor mill broke out, because obviously this news actually broke out when the rumors, it leaked before Ubisoft then had to subsequently acknowledge it because the leak was right, and it gained a lot of traction. And there was talks about multiplayer, and people got really annoyed by it. I thought I'm a multiplayer kind of guy, so I'm like, man, that'd be quite interesting. I'd be interested in that. But it's not that. I mean, I'm not pessimistic. I think I'm so down for a shake up at Ubisoft and the formula that I'm more than happy to see a change. So hopefully this is it. This is the change.
Definitely. We will be waiting with bated ears for sure on like more information, on games like Heartland, games like this Infinity. So we'll see where this goes. But let's go ahead and throw this over to you, Pong. Get your opinion, man. I mean, I don't know how big of I don't know how much we don't talk much about Assassin's Creed on the podcast, but I don't really know how big of a Assassin's Creed fan you are. But what do you think about just the change? Live service obviously is the key word here. I know people are afraid of that word. It's almost that e-break. But anyway, where you at? Where you at on this?
I love Assassin's Creed from the standpoint of I like traveling to different places in history because I'm kind of a history buff on the side throughout my life. So I do enjoy jumping. Now, I haven't played all the originals up through Unity I played, right? And then I skipped, but came back for Odyssey, and Odyssey was absolutely fantastic. But there is definitely some fatigue going on with Assassin's Creed. And I'm going to piggyback off what Gaz said because I agree with him as far as his points. I'm excited to see what they do with this. And again, we know so little, from what we so far have heard.
This is just tip of the iceberg.
Yeah, it's really hard to judge. And you can go, you could take this all different ways. But until we actually see what they're going to do, I'm going to, reserve judgment on it. I definitely think that it has potential. Talked about this last night a little bit too. I really think that with the fatigue going on, like Gaz said, I think Ubisoft may have heard some of that. And I think that this really does give them an opportunity to give us smaller, more condensed style Assassin's Creed, more like the original Assassin's Creed, where you don't have to think about going in and getting into a time sink situation where right away you're going to be putting in 80, 100 plus hours, right? And sometimes that right out of the gates already discourages people. And I think that's why we've probably seen the stats drop off as far as completion percentages go, the further we get into the Assassin's Creed timeline. And I think that probably has to come into some of the decision with what they're going to do. So I love it, right? They're not going to drop the Animus. Now, the Animus has been obviously a point of contention when it comes to Assassin's Creed fans, right? I don't mind the concept of the Animus. I think it's kind of a cool concept. The problem being is that in most of the Assassin's Creed, if not all of them, the Animus has pulled you out of the game at most inopportune times. And when you've gotten pulled out, they haven't given you anything of value when you've gone and done the modern time stuff. It's all been kind of pointless, right? So for me, if they're not going to get rid of the Animus and they're not going to get rid of that plot point, okay, so be it. So you're going to create this hub, right? Okay, I can see it. We're going to create this hub. The hub is going to be the whole Animus. It's going to be the whole modern day kind of deal, right? And then you jump in the Animus and you can go to, let's say, the Eastern, right? The next Eastern that supposedly is happening kind of adventure. And all of a sudden they add let's say an Aztec adventure, right? And all of a sudden you can decide, you go to the hub and say, hey, you know what? Today I'm going to go travel to the Aztec timeline, right? And I'm going to do some stuff there. That to me would be awesome because that means I get to engage with Assassin's Creed how I want to engage. And if it is smaller, more condensed style adventures, then all about it, because I think that would open up a whole lot of things. And if they're going to expand it, again, we don't know. Everybody has this negative opinion, or I shouldn't say everybody, because I personally don't, but everybody has there's a lot of people with a certain negative feeling towards games as a service when that is used. But for me, I like it because I get to decide what I want to do within that universe. I can choose to, pick up, one expansion, but not pick up another expansion if I don't have an interest in it, right? Kind of like season passes. I can pick up a season pass if it's got some stuff that I really want in it, and the next season pass rolls around and I don't see anything in it, so be it. I'm not going to pick it up. It's no big deal to me, right? So I don't have issues with those. And I think that if this succeeds, and I'm gonna break away from Assassin's Creed here for a minute and bring up our other favorite Ubisoft topic that we've hit on. I think if this succeeds, I think that this has a chance to actually inspire Ubisoft to bring back Splinter Cell. Okay. And I'm going to say this because I think that they kind of have been shown the model that could work with a Splinter Cell. I think they've been lost, they've lost interest in Splinter Cell because they don't know how to bring it back and fit it into their current model. But if this model works for them, and after the success of a Hitman 3, I think you could do a Splinter Cell with this type, right? You could do these smaller, you could have a hub world, base, whatever, where Sam Fisher comes back and he decides to go over to and do, this adventure over, he decides to take this mission over here, right? In this part of the world. And then you got more missions over in this part of the world. And just like Hitman, you could break it out that way, and you could have, now we've seen Hitman 3 bring in, these seasons that they're doing, which are fantastic. A lot of people have been loving what they've been doing.
Yeah, man, I've seen so much praise for Hitman 3 in the last few, weeks.
Right. Exactly. And I think that they're starting to see that there might be a way to actually do a Sam Fisher. And again, I know I'm pulling on a lot of people's heartstrings. I'm pulling on my own heartstrings because I want Splinter Cell to come back so bad. And I believe that they, internally they have to know that everybody and their mother wants a new Splinter Cell, and they're got to find a way to do it that fits what they're currently doing. Because again, obviously Ubisoft is run by the investors, right? They are run based upon money. And so it has to make sense for them business wise to do it. And I think this could be a way out of, this dead end that they found themselves in with the Splinter Cell series. And so that's what I'm hoping for. But, as far as Assassin's Creed goes, I think this has got a lot of potential. I can't wait to hear more about it. Again, tomorrow they could come out or Monday they could come out and drop all the information. I could go, ooh, yeah, no, that's not good. We're not going to do that there. That's not great. But from everything that some of the ideas that I have and kind of just the impression I get, I think this really could be a cool thing. And it might give them an opportunity to once again try multiplayer. I know it hasn't been great at all on Assassin's Creed, but I think Assassin's Creed still holds a lot of potential for some type of multiplayer. And I think that they have a couple different ways they could go with that. But man, some co-op missions in Assassin's Creed, or maybe a competition to see who can, pull off the hit first to kill, to assassinate this person over there, or whatever the case may be. Some competition kind of multiplayer. That would be so cool. And I think they could really use this opportunity if they build this out right to drop some of those things in and see how people react to them. And if they find one that takes off, then expand out on that. So I'm excited for that as well.
All right, well, let's go ahead and throw this over to you, Centurion. Get your opinion on the whole Assassin's Creed situation and the live service. And once again, this is something that Ubisoft is doing with a lot of their games. We can't forget about Ghost Recon. We don't know what the next iteration of that's going to look like. So it could look very similar to what Heartlands is going to be, as well as what this is AC Infinity is going to be as well. So go ahead, Centurion. It's on you, brother.
Well, I don't know. I've played a lot of the Assassin's Creed games, and I feel like maybe this has been like an end goal for the franchise, something that they've evolved over time, because, I mean, God, they have been as ADD as I have been, and I've actually had it. I've enjoyed it. I mean, I've got to be a pirate. I've got to live in Greek times, Egypt, the Crusades, ancient Rome. I mean, dude, there's a lot of stuff for the Assassin's Creed franchise, especially if you're a history fan. Did not know that about you, Pong. That was one of my favorite things about Assassin's Creed, is just being able to check out. I mean, let's just say this, they at least know how to really hit the nail on the head on duplicating a time period. So
absolutely.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, they really want people to know what it was like to be back then. Just they really put a lot of detail into it, at least. Now let's stick with Assassin's Creed Black Flag. The game started with you as an employee working at Abstergo. And obviously back in those days, the way the Anonymous worked is you were only able to kind of peer into your own blood ancestors, memory DNA or however it works. And when they came around with Assassin's Creed Origins, that's where they started breaking the mold on the Animus and wanting it to be, you could go and check out anybody's memory DNA as long as you had a sample of their DNA or whatever. I forget how it worked. That was the whole purpose of why she needed something of his in the beginning of Assassin's Creed Origins, was because she needed to be able to search his DNA. And this is where I feel like, yeah, we're probably going to have a hub world. We'll probably build our own character. That will be our assassin, that'll be our caricature that we get to see that goes into these worlds, because, and that's where I just really feel that they might try to go for that whole Abstergo thing again, where that's your hub world. You could go check out your friend's cubicle over there or some other way, just a place where people meet. They tried doing a multiplayer with Assassin's Creed Unity where you could call your friends in to help plan out a very difficult assassination. I think there was even competitions to where you guys would, where people would literally like these time trials to actually try to see who could do an assassination better or complete an obstacle course. There was a small multiplayer aspect to Unity, if memory serves me right.
Yes, there was. Yes.
Yeah.
And so I really just feel that they have been kind of poking at this, trying that, and they have been figuring out the direction they want to go. And to steal a line from David Preen, I feel like Ubisoft, or at least the guys over at Assassin's Creed, have really found their North Star, and they really know the direction they want to take the franchise now. We've been seeing this for a little while in Origins Origins, geez. I mean, you got DLC drops for that thing for like better part of like anywhere from 9 months to a year. Assassin's Creed Odyssey, it got even more obscene. You got DLC drops throughout a year or more. And I can only imagine what's going to happen with Assassin's Creed Valhalla. So they, at least the guys over at Ubisoft, when it comes to Assassin's Creed, really know how to support a title. They know how to keep creating content to kind of keep people interested over a course of time. So I really do feel that they are probably ready to try to do something as games as a service to kind of create an experience that people keep coming back to, kind of similar to Sea of Thieves. It's not an exactly established story. You don't really have an actual premise sometimes. You go there to hang out with friends. Other times there's events and stories that make you do other things. I mean, I'm really curious on the direction they're going to need to take this.
So I'm going to throw this to Gaz before we go ahead and move on to the last topic here on the show. So Gaz, I'm going to throw this out there. What do you think of, and shout out to Carlo Clowns. I was on Bitcast. Shout out to Ains this morning as well. All the guys, Dan over there, everybody, Indy that was on, everybody that was hanging out with us, man. It was an amazing show. Go check it out. But he brought up a great idea. He said ESO. He said, could it be something along the lines of like an ESO? We've seen how popular ESO is, although ESO has been like, that's something that they've been able to do over a long period of time to build ESO to where it currently is. But could it be, would that idea even make sense, Gaz?
Yeah, why not? That'd be something that would pull me in. Something like persistent. There's ways to meld both the formula of the single player with that kind of connected hub world with more people. That, I mean, I don't know if the faithful diehard want to hear that.
Yeah.
But I think I'm all the more for it. I mean, come on, man. You guys were naming all these Assassin's Creed games, reeling them out. It made me realize, my God, this game had run out of ideas or it just got stale to a generation ago. So yeah, I mean, is that what they're doing? I don't know. For some reason, I don't think it's as ambitious as that. Although it can work. And as much as Ubisoft, you got to give credit to Ubisoft for like when they do commit to something, they see it through.
Yes.
They're the only ones who have flopped in terms of initially showing off the game and then really worked hard to fix it. Like look at Rainbow Six Siege and look how massive that success is.
Yeah.
So if they do try something like ESO Online or something and initially doesn't jive with anyone, for a fact Ubisoft will make sure they see their investment through. The same like they did with For Honor. They did that
Division,
with
both divisions.
Divisions as well. Yeah, I mean all of their games, which kind of it's like they overshoot it with their ambition, and then ultimately they fall flat on their faces at launch. But then they bring it back to where it should have been at launch, as they continue to work through it. It's a learning process, and I admire Ubisoft for doing something like that instead of moving on to the next big thing and giving up on the last thing. And
Yeah.
Ubisoft have been really good in that sense. So yeah, ESO Online, if they do that, I'm more than happy for that. I think that'd be really, really good for the franchise. And I think you can reconcile both visions, the hardcore's formula of let's look at this bloody map with 50 million grind quests and
Yeah.
and the other something different. I think Ubisoft's general formula needs to change. I think because AC is their biggest property, they're leading with it. This may be more than just Assassin's Creed Infinity. This
Yeah.
may be because without saying too much on the topic, I will say that there have been rumblings about Ubisoft and management and some of the fiasco that's going on and the manner in which the studios run. There has been there's been some fundamental problems there. There have been a lot of murmurs about, and there are big shakeups either in the works now or designed to take place soon. So this may be a bigger deal than we think. I think this may be Ubisoft leading the charge to recognize that stale formula and then taking that approach to its other properties. It's going to obviously start off with this biggest one. That's Assassin's Creed. And PTK Blam is dead, ladies and gentlemen. I have taken over the show. I'm your captain now.
Look at me. Look at me.
Look at me. I am the captain now.
Well, how about you're saying a stale formula? Do you think we're going to see any significant improvements and changes to another big franchise of theirs that's coming out in October, and that's like Far Cry?
No, I think that will not see that. That's been far in development for a while. I think Assassin's Creed marks the change, not this, because if the change is quite considerable, it's got the collaboration of two studios working together to make it happen. So it's no mean feat. No, I don't think Far Cry looks good. Looks great. I actually like the Far Cry formulas. It's the only one of those Ubisoft games I could tolerate the formulas, which is very derivative of the last games, right? But I like that. So just like how Assassin's Creed fans like that, even though that's definitely got a half-life as well. It's getting stale as well. I'm not gonna lie. I didn't play the last one, for instance, and I was in it the one before that. But yeah, it's a good question. But no, Far Cry isn't that game. Far Cry is just the lingering part of the legacy that's come beforehand. And I think, and I hope, I mean, it's just a guess here, but I'm hoping Assassin's Creed marks that change. But I know for a fact, studio was almost in turmoil in terms of direction. Now things are changing.
Okay. All right. Well, we're going to go ahead and move on to the last topic here on the Shot Podcast. Appreciate everybody for hanging out. Sorry about some of the audio issues we've had today, man. Not having the greatest situation over here, but it's all good. We're going to push through and get this thing done. So last but not least, we're going to be talking about Sony State of Play and just get you guys' opinions on the overall event. Now, just to be fair to start off with, we do have to understand Sony did come out and let everyone know exactly what this event was going to be about, what was not going to be shown, what was not going to be talked about. So they did do that ahead of time. So, with that being said, we'll start with you guys. Just what do you get out of the show? Obviously, Deathloop was the big, essentially the big game shown, and then everything else was essentially, other indie level, which is fantastic. There was a lot of variety there. I think that's the big thing for me. I love variety. There was a ton of games there that I hadn't really known much about, but after seeing the event, I definitely want to see more about them. But ultimately, I think the only people that should be disappointed were anybody that would
Had
even
standards,
think, would even think of comparing that to something like, an E3. No, for real, like dead serious. Like, I know there's some people that were comparing it to like E3. Like, is this their counter to E3? And I'm like, well, no, it's a state of play. Like, come on, that's let's be honest here. But go ahead, guys. I'm not gonna take your turn. Let me know what you think about that state of play.
Just trying to think of a word that's a more sophisticated way of saying shit.
Oh my goodness.
It wasn't bad. I mean, if you're going to compare it to E3, then it was pretty shit, right?
Well, actually, you know what? If you compare it to some of them other E3s like Gearbox, it was pretty decent.
I guess if you're like you like the glass half full kind of guy, then it was good. It was great. It was amazing. It was amazing. State of Play was a game changer. It changed my life. It's like you wanted me to bring some sauce. Let me bring some sauce here. Like before the run up to the show, I'm not going to name names, but you probably know the names. These fanboys were hyping it to high heaven, man. God of War's gonna be there. It's gonna be mad. They trademarked it. Then I saw don't pretend. I saw the lists. You guys were coming up with some mad names. And then Sony bloody released a blog saying, chill. You guys are wilding out. Let's just manage expectations a little bit. But lo and behold, people still so stupid. They still went on some next level thing. Here's siphon filters coming back. I was like, why? Why is this coming on my timeline? Like, there needs to be like a normal IQ filtration service or something. But people are so silly. So they become victims of their own narrative. So they drummed this up and went really high on what this game State of Play should have been. But I'm glad Sony went out. Generally, I think the show was okay. It was brief. I like indie games.
I do too. I'm a big advocate for indie. Yeah.
And the older I get, I find myself deviating more towards indies and the art form than the big AAAs. So I loved Sifu. Sifu looks amazing. I've been following that for a while. That game looks amazing, man. Everyone talks about like the big AAA exclusives. Sifu is not coming out on Xbox. That's a big thing. I think it's going to be an incredible game. But I mean, obviously, it didn't. I'm of the feeling that PlayStation do need to return fire because Xbox is going on from strength to strength. It doesn't operate in a vacuum. They didn't do that with State of Play, but what that was a good timing for was a good opportune moment to kind of. I know it's not intentional, but there was if you followed it on Twitter, I'm sure you know the indies came out to call out this Sony's draconian policies and slow bureaucratic systems to promote their games at 25,000.
That was like last week, I think.
Yeah. So the timing was good because an indie focused State of Play kind of almost eclipsed that noise, and so generally that was good. What I find really funny though, this is the state of this crazy loony industry, is that the biggest game in the way Sony advertised it is basically a Deathloop highlight. The biggest game that PlayStation showed off, the highlight of their own PlayStation show, was a Microsoft's first-party title, because that's what it is now, the first-party title. So I laugh at the notion of that actually turning around. So like, hey, PlayStation guys, your biggest game is our first-party title. This has been a tough generation for the PlayStation guys, but in terms of narrative and console warring, and I love that source. I just that was amazing. But in terms of not being a dickhead, then I'll say it was a good show. I really like Deathloop. Sifu was really good, and I'm struggling to remember the names of the others, but they looked intriguing. But yes, please don't compare it to E3. You're going to get clapped with some common sense otherwise.
No, so once again, I'm of the same mind. Like it was a good show, good solid. They did temper expectations already. They let everybody know, we're not going to get some of these big announcements everybody's been talking about, which is fine. Like I'm okay with that. Now, does this move the needle as far as them? Are they going to continue to just kind of, do the smaller shows, or at some point,
they'll do a big one.
Yeah, no, I'm of the same mind that they'll do a big one at some point as well. And it's funny because when you really think about 2021, there's not really anything that they have to show for this year at all.
No, they don't.
I mean,
they don't.
Well, no, they Horizon's had its own event already.
Yeah.
Ratchet RNC is out. There's no, and Horizon maybe not even make it this year. So I mean, there's a chance, but so I mean, it's interesting. The strategy is a bit different. This is not what it really is, guys. If we want to really get to the sauce, we're not used to this type of Sony. They're generally Sony's generally exactly. They're very reactionary. Like they really do the great job of capitalizing on Nintendo and or Xbox's shortcomings, and they capitalize in like really smart ways a lot of times. So them kind of like just kind of plodding around this generation, it's kind of odd. It doesn't feel right. So I think
great. What are you talking about? It feels good. It feels great. Do you know why it feels good and great? Is because, and you hit the nail on the head there. Normally they're very good at capitalizing the shortcomings of the competitors, and their struggle to do that this generation speaks more about the strength of its competitors and the lack of bloody exposure holes there for the competitors. So Sony is struggling because Sony, if you think about it, it's at its weak point, because now it doesn't have the most first-party studios. Xbox has the most first-party studios. It doesn't have the most powerful console. Xbox has the most powerful console. It doesn't have the most indie-friendly policies. Xbox has the most indie-friendly policies. It doesn't have the best price policies or consumer friendliness, because Xbox is absolutely trouncing it in a way that it couldn't even possibly hope to bring it back to level playing, because it doesn't have the financial might to do so, because it can't counter Game Pass. By its own admission, it cannot do day and date releases of its first party titles. Xbox has more studios. It has indie covered. It's got the policy covered. How, if you're Sony, you cannot buy ZeniMax for 7.1 billion. You can't do that. Of course you're stuck. PlayStation is doing everything it possibly can in its arsenal. The problem is its arsenal isn't looking as potent as it once used to be. Its big weapons are its traditional lingering big AAA titles from last gen. These games were in development since then. And Colin Moriarty said this as well. What happens after God of War, after Horizon Forbidden West, after to a lesser degree Gran Turismo, they've again, as a reactionary move, Herman Hull said, we have 25 games in development. That can mean anything, by the way. Of course, they have these games in development. Some are in incubation phase. Some are barely an embryo that he's chucked in that list. You don't know how far they are there. So Sony is very reactionary because its primary competitor, which is Xbox, has never looked stronger. And this could be a generation where Xbox creates, not only just catches up, but creates its own metric with Game Pass and create a huge divide. And this isn't just hyperbole. The industry is changing.
Oh, absolutely. And that's and not to cut you off, guys. Sorry about that, but not to cut you off. But the one thing that I've always said is that when you look at how Sony's been able to position themselves in the industry, they absolutely are the stronger brand from a notoriety standpoint on a global level. They're more popular in more areas than Xbox is. It's just a fact. Like there's really nothing I can change. There's really no fiction in that. But the one thing you can do, if you can't win that way, you just change the rules. Game Pass changed the rules.
It did, man.
It changed the rules of the game. So
think about David Jaffe, who we've had on our show, the guy who created God of War. This is the guy who created Twisted Metal. These are the biggest classic PlayStation titles. God of War is the biggest title now that PlayStation has. And he can't stop talking about Game Pass. It's just too good to be true. The industry is shifting as well in terms of this taste for games as well. People can't see this. The way they absorb content. The Netflix of games it's here. It's live. Yeah. And with Project xCloud, it's going to be really that. So it's an industry shaker, man. You have to be completely blinkered. And the fanboys that are trying to, what they're saying, look, their holes are just, their argument has so many holes, it's just come completely torn apart now. Every little goalpost has been shifted. It's not sustainable. No, now Phil Spencer saying it's profitable now. and the argument's gone down the toilet. And then are you gonna have cookie cutter games? That's gone as well. Now you're getting big AAA titles on there and from third parties. Is it, people? It sounds like we're just heralding, fanboying for Xbox, but it's more than that. This is going to be causing some concerns for PlayStation. So what it's doing is exactly what it needs to, and that's everything it can.
Yeah, no, absolutely, and I 100% agree. Now, not to say that Sony absolutely has to make these changes, because it's still a extremely strong brand.
Oh yeah,
and it's absolutely between the two, it's absolutely the stronger brand. Like I said, on a global scale, there's no denying that. So, we definitely give Sony all the credit in the world for positioning themselves and taking advantage of every opportunity that they had. So let's go ahead and throw this over to you, Pong. Get your opinion on Sony and the State of Play event, and obviously, I don't know where your expectations were for the event itself. They came out and kind of made sure everybody's expectations were in the right place. So what do you think? What did you see at the State of Play? Anything that got your attention?
Well, I mean, again, I go into every show with high expectations, and obviously Sony laid it out. I mean, they laid out what was going to happen, so I didn't really go in expecting that they were all of a sudden going to shock the world with anything out of what they said they were going to show. So love to see Deathloop. I love Arcane and what they do. And I get to look forward to playing that game next year on Series X, right? So,
September, yep.
Yeah, September. So for me, it was just nice to see Deathloop and Arcane get their due. Because again, I know a lot of people are starting to downplay this game a little bit. Maybe some of that is some fanboy ism to it, just because they know it's no longer an exclusive, or what they thought might be an exclusive to Sony only. And now that Microsoft obviously owns Arcane as part of the ZeniMax deal, a lot of people are starting to.
Don't forget Ghostwire Tokyo as well.
Right. They're just trying to downplay these studios that have been acquired. Again, I think I loved it. I loved what Sifu showed off. I thought it was interesting that we got some multiplayer games in there. I think Sony has definitely heard the call out there, and I think they're going to try. We've also heard that they've got some studios working on multiplayer games, and I think that they're going to try to start at least giving their fan base some multiplayer content, which has been lacking. If one thing definitely has been lacking in their portfolio, it's definitely multiplayer. So I think that was cool to see. Sony doesn't do early access, and we saw that Arcadegeddon get early access on Sony. So I think they are starting to take some cues from Xbox and what they've obviously put together so far. But again, I think Gaz's points are spot on. This is why I love Gaz, because he and I are a lot of the same mindset. He may bring a lot more sauce and smoke than I do, but from the standpoint of just looking at the industry as a whole, if you take a step back from being a company fanboy and you just look at the industry, this is always what's excited me. And obviously I've been playing games for 40 plus years now. So I've watched a lot of changes come and go and happen, and some take off and some fail miserably. And this is the exciting part, the chess match that is this industry right now. And Sony took advantage of a disinterested Microsoft. They took advantage of a situation where you had a disinterested company that was just, they had a games division, but it was not a pillar of their corporation. So therefore they were like, yeah, that's cute over here. We're going to try something, TV, all that good stuff that we remember.
And that's why Don's parting gift before he
exactly.
went over.
And they didn't pump money into it. They didn't have studios. No. So when we saw what Sony was doing, it looked like, oh my God, look at all these games. They got all these exclusive. They got all this content coming out. They're making these third-party deals everywhere. Holy cow. So all of their shows looked big, and all their shows looked grand compared to, Xbox and what they were able to show. And you know what? Now you've got an interested all in Microsoft. Now you got a $2 trillion company backing a games division that is now a pillar of their services. Yep. They now have a Game Pass vehicle, right? That is now the platform, and it fits right alongside, Windows, and it fits right alongside Office, and it fits right into their wheelhouse with the Azure servers. And they've got all of this stuff going for them. So now you see what happens when and the disparity is starting to grow just in terms of content. And again, this is not a slight on Sony. This is not downplaying what Sony has done previously or what they mean to the industry. I love what Sony puts out. I love their games. Eventually, I will have a PS5. I own both. But if you step back from the fanboyism and you take a look at the big picture, this is the difference of thinking about going after 3 billion customers versus going after 140 million customers, right? This is the difference that you get. And that disparity is only going to grow because the amount of content that Xbox now owns alone in first party. We're not even talking about the third party deals they're cutting left and right, because on Game Pass, content is king, and you have to have diverse constant content no matter what in order to keep that service growing, just like a Netflix. And again, there are differences, but it's the best model to look at. But when you have to have that continuous form of content coming, new stuff coming to that platform, and increasing your player base within that ecosystem. Going after 3 billion is totally different than going after 140 million. And Sony hasn't figured out exactly how they fit into this new game, right? That they've played the same game for a long time and have gotten to really good at it. They become masters at it. They dominated when Microsoft stumbled, right? They basically, Nintendo went and built their own pond to swim in because they decided it was no longer up their alley to go ahead, as we discussed, and compete on that same level. So Sony's had that advantage forever. But now, like you said, PTK, when you go ahead and change the game, like Xbox is attempting to do, and Phil and his team have done so far a genius level job at, once you change that game, you kind of lose your way and you're stumbling. You now see Sony kind of stumbling. But these shows, these small shows that they do, they would have in the past excited people, and they would have in the past drawn tons of interest, and it would have been like, oh man, look what Sony's got coming out. Look at Sifu. Sifu looks amazing. Look at Jet. Jet looks like a cool indie title, right? Or that Fist game, right? That Fist game looks super cool. That robot or the
I like
rabbit
that too. The 2D side scroller,
exactly. Looks fantastic. But then right now, even though Microsoft hasn't hit all strides, even though Xbox has not put out the first party next gen titles that people have been demanding, they've put out so much content and brought so much content in the Game Pass. It feels like, oh, that's all you got, Sony? Really? That's all you got? And again, it's not a slight to Sony. It's just that they can't compete on the same level anymore. And that's going to be the divide that we see grow and grow and grow, because Xbox isn't slowing down. They're actually ramping up. We're only seeing the beginning stages of this, and they're going to continue to buy. They're going to continue to acquire. They're going to continue to make third-party deals, and the first-party content is going to start rolling. One big game per quarter. Remember that. And eventually, if they get all the acquisitions I think that they're going to do, we might see one big game every 2 months. And that's going to make Sony feel really small comparative. But they're still going to have their moments in the sun. When God of War is ready to be shown, it's still going to, blow up the internet. Everybody's going to be talking about it. It's going to be absolutely fantastic. When Final Fantasy 16 is ready to roll out, and we already know that's an exclusive, at least for 2 years. When that's ready to hit, that's going to blow up the world. But in the interim, those little bombs that they drop is going to look like nothing compared to what Microsoft is doing on a constant basis. Xbox is going to constantly be in the news with new games coming out, acquisitions, talk about what they're doing, Game Pass. It's going to be constantly on the minds of people because they're grabbing back that mind share that they lost. And again, they're going for 3 billion versus just the normal console market that's capped off. And again, not to say that Sony can't change, and I think that they're going to try to adjust and come up with some type of competitor to Game Pass, but it's not going to be one for one, no matter what, at the end of the day. And they're going to rely on their popularity to draw people in, which it will. They are not going anywhere. They're going to be successful. But when it comes to just looking overall scope, that is going to really showcase how much of a difference it makes when you've got a $2 trillion company invested all in on something like Xbox, on something like Game Pass, xCloud, etc. It's going to show the differences between those two. So again, this show was good. I love to see Deathloop. I love some of the smaller games I saw. I just think people are starting to feel that kind of underwhelmed feeling that comes about because we've heard for so long this past year about Xbox and what they are doing that some of these Sony shows just may feel small in comparison. That's it.
That's a fair assessment. That's an absolute fair assessment. Just because Gaz kind of alluded to this, that the climate is changing. This is not 2013 where Xbox started out in a deficit. You know, they had
Correct.
to dig themselves out of a hole for the entire generation. So they don't have the same hurdles that they have to jump over. People forget, once a generation starts, everybody's at zero. Like, it doesn't matter what happened before that. When the new generation starts, it's everything's brand new. Everybody gets a clean slate, and we're going forward from there. So people forget, and Xbox got off to a great start. And this is just the tip of the iceberg. We haven't even really got to really when these studios start pumping these first party games out and everything starts kind of rolling. So I do agree. But before we wrap this up, let's go ahead and get this over to Centurion. Get your opinion on the state of play, Centurion.
Man, the state of play, holy cow. How to describe that situation? You know, it's okay. PlayStation's still filling out this generation. I mean, they're still trying to figure out how to, put the PlayStation console in an ad. Oh, nobody else saw that except for me.
Oh man.
Okay, I'm just making sure that
Thoughts is coming about that, by the way.
Apparently, when Jim Ryan gave Sean Layden the boot out the door, here's your box, don't let the door hit you where the good Lord split you kind of speech. Oh, yeah, by the way, get the director of marketing, and he needs to follow him. I'm going to handle marketing now, too. And as we can all see, there is something obviously going on. We all knew that they were doing some restructuring. Apparently, Jim Ryan might be handing out some jobs to some friends that are probably not qualified. I don't know. I mean, we have definitely seen the PlayStation brand all of a sudden do a 180 when it comes to, let's just put it this way. The PlayStation brand, when it came to marketing, was strategic. And I mean, very well played. I mean, handing games to people in little 20-second ads. It was witty. I mean, very cutthroat in almost seem way. And all of a sudden, it's like now all of a sudden they can't seem to get out of their own way. It's like the person with all the good ideas kind of left the building and, they forgot to leave their notebook. I don't know. Because I'm not going to say that the state of play was trash, but it was not. Just from listening to the shows and feeling the pulse of the PlayStation community, which I do not represent. I'm an Xbox fan, but I like to listen to gaming as a whole. It wasn't exactly what the PlayStation community was looking for, because regardless of what any tweet that PlayStation may have came out, expect this, that, and the other at this event, PlayStation skipped E3. They left a lot of their fans wanting, and regardless of this was not the intended response for Microsoft's E3, this is the perceived response. This is the show you come out with after Microsoft had probably one of the best E3s that anybody can name off top of their head in a long time when it comes to a gaming press conference, and all of a sudden PlayStation comes out with something that was done like I think one cast I listened to, they were talking about, they compared it to how Xbox opened up for Jeff Keighley's Summer of Games last year with a independent based show, an indie game based show, and now PlayStation does that. And I almost feel sorry for fans that really, really had all these high goals and expectations. Like, oh, come on, they put a Ragnarok poster up. We're talking holiday 20. It's going to drown out Halo Infinite and all these other games. Yeah, we're getting Ragnarok 2021. We're getting all these games. And I knew the minute Ragnarok came on the screen, that game was not 2021. I'm sorry, 2021 is the next time they're going to come out and let you know about a delay. So I don't really have any harsh feelings towards what was shown, there was some good games. I'm glad that Pong brought up Fist. I would definitely say out of all the games that are on the screen, that one right there was, what's this about?
I like
And
the Midgard game as well.
there was some games that really were like, I wanted to check that out, but not to steal from King David, but to more be like, I liked his stance on it. When you watch an Xbox show, it is to basically show what you are getting for the investment that you have already put into the ecosystem. This is stuff that's coming to Game Pass. This is basically, there is a large portion of what Xbox shows you that you could play and do without having to have any more financial input into the ecosystem. Meanwhile, going over to PlayStation, it's this show of, hey, you should spend money on this, you should spend money on that, you should spend money over here, spend. And I don't really see anything that made me want to spend. It was just like, man, I really feel that I'm with the opinion that maybe some of these games really need to pop up in PlayStation Now. Maybe they, because like, I'm not telling you to put Last of Us 2 or the next Last of Us game day and date in PlayStation or PS Now or PS Plus, whatever it is. I'm thinking they should use some of these indie titles and really kind of help push forward PS Now to kind of creating something that's like, hey, here's some value for a service that a lot of people are already investing in on the PlayStation side, and help create more hype for that service and to kind of show some love. Because I mean, an article just came out the other day about how Xbox is practically already winning this generation. It has nothing to do with sales or anything like that. It's all because of how they are appeasing developers.
No, absolutely. And I think that's a bigger piece of the puzzle than people realize, a bigger piece of the pie.
Dude, we got a haboob brewing out here.
Oh yeah, no, I believe it. But so we gonna keep this thing going. But that actually is the last topic here on the show. We're gonna go ahead and wrap this thing up. So I guess the timing of this is awesome. Essentially, but we're gonna go ahead and get out of here, everyone. But before we go, guys, we obviously gonna go around the panel, and I just want to say thank you guys for hanging out with us this evening, man. I know we are a couple guys short, but you guys rocked out with us like you do every single Saturday, man. I appreciate the continued support. So retweet, like the show, subscribe to the channel if you have not already. Do yourself a favor. Show our guests some love. Go down in the comment section. Go, buy some merch. Go check out the website. Go follow them go follow him on Twitter, as well as, just follow them. Do everything that they need you to do, man. Show some support over there. But Gaz, we'll start with you, man. I hope you had fun here on the show. Appreciate you, man. You're like family now. Hopefully we can have you back sometime soon. Maybe I can, jump on the game on at some point. You never know. But
get a camera, and then you're on.
Okay, all right, for sure. No, absolutely. So, appreciate you, man. But let everybody know what's going on with you.
Thank you so much for the invite. Sorry if I look tired, it's because it's almost 4 a.m.
Yeah, you're good.
And I did the show before that, but it was a great show. It was a good chat as well. Pong Song we've been on so many podcasts now. I feel like you're on my panel all the time. But yeah, no, honestly,
let me know anytime, Gaz. Let me know.
No, absolutely. The pleasure. Likewise to all of you guys. Just GameOnDaily.com. I have to shout out I don't think we don't do a good job of marketing that, because if people know how much we spend doing that, how much is in development for that platform already. It's not just a website, it's a platform. There's a lot of moving parts behind it. It's for content creators, it's for podcasters. So to submit your content there, to feature and bring your community over, so that more traffic is driven towards your site. If you want to be a journalist or you want to be a content creator, the tools are there to level the playing field. Because me and Asa always felt that the discourse, gaming news and gaming information has been monopolized by some of the bigger parties who just happened to be lucky when they got in early in the game, right? But Game On Daily exists to redress the balance and put the power in your hand. So go ahead and do check that out. It's built with good intentions. Believe me, we built this with a clear manifesto. We built something, then we start shouting about it, and we don't even shout about it enough. Game On Daily. Our YouTube channel is one word, Game On Daily. People like the Source stuff. All I can say is the next episode will be even more insane. And we're ramping up content. We might have in the works. This is probably an early scoop for you guys, but for the world. But if anyone cares, we're gonna have a mid-week show as well, but more to allow people who don't want to come on camera, because people don't necessarily feel comfortable camera, to come on. It'll be an offshoot of the source to invite people to call in and community to chat, because we love talking games. As you can tell, I won't shut up. But we have lots of content, lots of YouTube content coming in. There's a lot in the works, and we don't sleep. So yeah, but yeah, thank you so much. Honestly, it's really good, and yeah, I'm glad that I'm part of family. You'll regret those words.
I know, right? Knocking on the door, asking for sugar in the middle of the night, all kind of random stuff.
Oh yeah, sugar. Yeah, if that means something else, then yeah.
No, but we appreciate you guys, man. Thank you for coming on. I know, like I said, it's super late over there. We appreciate you taking your time out. Once again, everybody, go check out what they're doing over there on the website. Follow him on Twitter. Go buy the merch, everything they're doing. Like I said, please go support them. You guys are amazing, man. You and Asa. Shout out to him. Asa actually has DM'd me before, so we had already pre-planned this to get together and get on the show at some point. I don't know if you'd actually heard about that before, but he actually reached out to me. Yeah, so
Asa doesn't speak to me remarkably. He's only on the show. He's like a robot in real life. What you see on TV is exactly what you get.
Got it. Awesome. Well, we appreciate you guys. You guys are awesome beacons in the community, doing awesome things with the website, giving people like myself an opportunity, to gain a bigger following and just to have a solid level playing field, to put our content on. So
absolutely. Oh, that's a bad time for him to cut off our outro. But ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Game On Daily. This is it, boys and girls. This is our show now.
It's starting. It's the morning show over there. Let's go, guys.
Hey, let's go. The show's just begun. Forget everything what he said. This is it. Now we're going to talk about why Xbox is beating the shit out of PlayStation. Ladies and gentlemen, tell me what's going on. Why is it so bad?
Look at this. Also, the energy kicks in. Look at this. Game On Daily in the AM. Let's go.
I'm a better host than a guest, clearly, because that's the only thing I know how to do. Let's talk some shit. Let's get. Oh, come on.
Oh, man, this is awesome. All right, I'll do my outro now. Everybody, hey, you know what? It was a great Saturday night. Sauce was here. Man, Gaz, always awesome to be on with you, brother. I absolutely love what you guys do. You know that, man. So can't believe I got to be on another show with you. Always enjoy it. But this was a great show Saturday night with my brothers, Centurion and PTK. Chat, you guys were absolutely outstanding tonight, as always, coming out and supporting us no matter what. I love you all. Much respect for doing it weekly. So you can find me, Pong Song, everywhere, Xbox, Twitter. You know the drill there. Tuesdays, I am on with Mr. Boomstick on Double Barrel Gaming with the Xbox Factor podcast. Oh, yeah, Gaz, you know it. And that is with Zemi Games. The 3-Bit is now on with us as well on Tuesdays. So join me there, 12 p.m. Eastern, 11 o'clock Central Time. Fridays, Xbox Ultimate. You know the deal. 2-tab Fridays, Xbox Ultimate. Fun Speculation, a.k.a. Mav. He was in the chat earlier. Shout out to my brother. And, of course, his amazing wife, Caitlin, and the rest of the Magnificent 7, 9 p.m. Eastern, 8 o'clock Central Time. Saturday mornings. Yes, we weren't on today due to real-life things happening. That does come into play. So we do have real lives. So of course, Steele and I weren't on Living Split Screen this morning, but episode 16 will be back next Saturday morning, 10 a.m. Eastern, 9 o'clock Central Time, 3 p.m. UK time, waking you guys up, getting your energy going. We talk all things gaming in the industry. We're not console centric in any way, shape, or form. We will talk all different topics. We always have rants, and with a week off, we are going to come back with even more. So check out myself and Steel Rain out there, Living Split Screen being all one word. And then, of course, I'll be back here Saturday night. So join me back at the Shop Podcast. You know it, Gaz. You know it, Gaz.
You do realize no one can retain the information you are telling them.
I don't care.
Without taking a breath.
They
for
do.
At least 5 minutes.
They do, man. They do.
I'm trying to follow it. I can't do it. It's like there's a show. I swear.
That's because it's 4 a.m. there. That's because it's 4 a.m. You're tired and you can't handle it.
Yeah. By the way, shout out to. I think PTK Blam's wife has messaged. I assume that's his wife, called the Striving Vegan. If you're a vegan, you're always going to be striving.
Yeah, he just is in the chat too. He's in the chat. He said the power went out. So Centurion, great show, brother. Great to have you here. Another Saturday night. Tell everyone where they can find you, brother.
Oh, take it over.
So this is it. I said the word haboob earlier. That is a coined phrase here in Arizona that we give for a dust storm. You should if you guys hear some strange noises, that is the extreme winds outside the window that's near my mic. I mean, it's insane. We're actually taking bets on a shed across the way flying away. So anyways, yeah, it just
it's
came
like
in pretty
Max out there, man.
Oh,
America's
dude, like
crazy.
it gets pretty crazy, man. When the wind wants to come through here, it has a mind of its own. So for those interested, please locate me at Centurion1307. You can find me on YouTube, Twitter, and of course Xbox Live. You can also find me right here kicking it with all my fam, and of course my heart, love, and positive thoughts go out to everybody here, including Fuzzy Belvedere and of course Staggerilla. And of course, please locate me also on the TXR podcast every Sunday night with the awesome Invader Gaming and the rest of the crew over there.
Yeah, and now we take off our clothes.
End the show. Let's go.
I don't got a camera and I don't know.
Wait, if his power is
cell phone.
Can he shut the phone?
No, he can't. He can't. But we should be able to leave the studio.
If we leave the studio, does the show stop though, or does it carry on in perpetuity until he comes back?
No, I think it'll probably shut down if we leave the studio because it'll close SteamYard down.
Oh, really? Okay. Well, then let's
we'll
do
hope
it
so.
in unison. That's it.
Let's hope so.
Check out my OnlyFans. Yeah,
that's right. Otherwise, you guys know where to find PTK Blam. You know how to find him. Yeah, awesome show, guys. Again, chat. Thank you all for coming out. We love you. Hey, get out and play some games, man. The weekend's not over with. Play what you love what you play, and we will see you all back here Saturday night. Thank you once again for coming and being here with us. Otherwise, PTK is out. So let's go. Thanks, guys. Later, guys.
I'm not leaving. They left. What stupid idiots. You think I'm going to leave? This is the show. I'm taking over, baby. I'm taking over because I'm a piece of shit, ladies and gentlemen. This is now the Game On Daily PTK Blam show, and I'm taking over. Let's talk about some stuff, right? It's 5 o'clock in the morning, 4 o'clock in the morning. I haven't slept, but you know, I'm going to be a prick. This might not go down well. How dare you guys? How dare you take over someone's show? But you know what? It was such good energy. I'm going to stay here. I'm going to stay here and talk about some stuff. Let's talk about how Xbox is beating the shit out of Xbox. No, wait, that doesn't make any sense. I definitely need some sleep. No, let's talk about, someone said, what game do you want to bring back? Do you want to bring back Banjo-Kazooie? Do you want to bring back Quake? Banjo beat Quake. On that point, I just want to say, you're all pieces of shit. Thank you so much. Take care. Love you all.